Hey, it's me again, Miss Fidget and Gab. Talk your ears off. Um, I'm just here. I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to say importance. That sounds real preachy, but how personally to me a helpful attitude was when I was going through the worst of the Guillain-Barré syndrome. At my worst, I spent a couple days in the ICU, hooked up to a BiPAP machine, a thing over my face. It was the full mask thing. I'm claustrophobic. I am horrifically claustrophobic. Um, I don't handle it very well. So I was a nightmare patient. It was freaking me out. I was terrified. And then finally, at some point, this was after the Darth Vader on Mustafar delusion. This was after that. Um, I started to a, like a peace almost came over me, and I started thinking, okay, suck it up, suck it up. Find something right now you can be grateful for. Find something right now you're thankful for. And my very first thought was my husband, because he was always there whenever he could be. Um, During this time, it was Queen Elizabeth II's, jubilee of her 70 years on the throne. Um, Me being a massive Anglophile, um, I loved watching it. I know a great deal about the British royal family. Um, the fact that it's basically becoming something Jerry Springer-esque, I'm, it's just, it's disappointing, but is to be expected on some level, because yeah, you can't successfully distance your family's exploits from the colonial things, especially when you had Queen Elizabeth's mother, um, who was, oh my God, classist, racist, unapologetic about it too. So, yeah, that's that. But I enjoyed watching that coverage. Um, and then I would think of other things. Some people can't breathe on their own, they end up intubated. I was grateful for that I wasn't. Um, I was grateful that I was in a place that wasn't under siege, because, there was a lot of news coverage about Ukraine. And, I was just in my hospital bed watching TV. I could kind of change the channels when I could manage to flipper smack things when I was up after I was out of the ICU. I started being able to flipper smack. And I was grateful that I wasn't in a war zone. I was grateful that I was able to get treatment. I was grateful that I was going to go to a rehab, and everything was, that I was going to be taken care of, because not everyone is so lucky. Um, and the more I gained, I was very grateful for being able to move, or, you know, move my fingers, move my arms. At this point, I still couldn't hold it. I was really happy the one day I finally got to where I could hold a banana to eat it. Um, and it was good to derail my panic from not being able to move. Um, it was a it was a way to distract my mind from what was happening right now. So I would think about things like, I was grateful for the strength I had before this, because um, that's part of what made my recovery as quick as it was the fact that I was in really good shape before that happened. Um, the way that I spoke about things before, I was kind of pessimist a lot, and I'm not like that now. The When I would think about things, I would think, okay, I can't do this, but then I would immediately try to counter that in my mind with, okay, but I could do this. And anyone who's had this situation whether it be from a stroke or Guillain-Barré syndrome, or, like a temporary spinal injury that manages to get their things back, knows how it's like, what an incredible shock it is. First, like, they gave me a thing to wad up in a ball. It was a hospital gown to wad up in a ball. And I couldn't really, I could kind of do it. And it was like, it was so bad. It was like I was having to use like floppy rubber arms to do it. That's what it felt like. Like, this wasn't mine, because I still had very little sense of touch. For whatever reason, my sense of temperature was not affected. I'm not sure why that is, but it wasn't. It was just the touch and then the motor. I lost my ability to move almost completely. But I was grateful I wasn't intubated. I was grateful that I didn't go full out, because I've heard of people with Guillain-Barré syndrome not even being able to talk at all, and I could still talk. Whether that's been being intubated, some people end up having a tracheostomy, but I was grateful for all that. And another thing that I think helped me was I was thinking about what I could do when I was between seeing the OT or the PT. Even in the hospital, they told me I could, just flex and relax my muscles to the best of my ability, and I kept doing that. I would do sets, of flexes, and I tried to isolate all the muscles, but like, when you really don't know where your leg happens to be at the moment without looking at it, that's kind of hard to do, but I tried. It took me until, let's see, it was about 3 weeks into rehab before I was able to really get on my feet at all. And then after that, I was able to start walking some, and then I was walking with a walker by the time I went home. And then when I was in my house, I had a cane that I used most of the time. So I did a pretty damn quick recovery. The other things were that, like, I had, I in these things, and I talk about the things I went through and how it reminded me through what I went through in my childhood. I have to clear the air about one thing. My mother was undiagnosed. I believe she was like whatever the super bad bipolar is. And when I was grown, when my son was a toddler, she got on a different doctor and new meds. So the person who hurt me as a child that I talk shit on bore no resemblance to the friend I had the last 15 years of her life. I loved that woman. She was amazing. She'd do anything for anybody. But yeah, it was night and day. It did not feel like the same person. But I was thinking about, to keep myself straight, I was thinking about, I had to get home. I had to get home to my dog, who was not eating, and she still doesn't. If I'm out of town for any reason, she won't eat. I just all those things, and my grandchild, and I was wanting to get to where I could visit him, and that was all the things that kept me going. And I know that I was very fortunate to have all those things. Not everyone does. And I can understand why you would give up if you don't have a good support system. It's sad when people do, but I understand why. Because it's hard sometimes, even when you have a great support system, especially when you're used to, a Sunday for me sometimes is I'd get up at 2:45 in the morning. I'd be to work at 4. I'd work until around 12:30. Sometimes it was later, sometimes it was earlier, just when did I get my stuff done. I could come home, I could do 4 loads of laundry. Sometimes I would cook something, sometimes my husband took care of it, but the point being is I was constantly go, 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 go. And it was nothing for me um, to have 25,000 steps in a day. That was nothing. When I stopped using my Fitbit, I had this like ridiculous amount of miles that I'd walked, and I only used it for about 3 years, 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly, but that's pretty much, what I'm talking about, like I said. And I still do this all the time when I get a setback. It taught me to kind of use this when I get a setback. I constantly, the first thing I ask is, okay, well, this happened and it sucks, but what would suck worse? Okay, well, that would suck worse. I'm grateful that didn't happen and just this did. Like with, recently I had a thing with my furnace, and I was annoyed by it, but it could have been so much worse. So it was a relatively cheap fix. So I was grateful that it was just that and not what I thought it was, because that was going to be bad. But like I said, I'm still learning how to do this. I have very bad camera presence and all that. I'm aware. I just want to help people not feel so alone, and maybe, um, you know, if it can, something I say, you can either um, live to prove me wrong, you can show it, you can be relieved by it or something, or just make fun of my hair or my makeup or whatever helps you out. But have a good day. Bye.